Hey everyone, and welcome back. This past weekend in golf was absolutely insane, and we're about to dive deep into all the action. We've got news from Mexico, Thailand, and of course, everyone wants to know what Tiger's up to.
It's always about Tiger, isn't it?
Always. But don't worry, we're not just going to skim the headlines. We're going to uncover the stories beneath the surface.
That's right. We're going beyond just the scores and looking at what these events mean for the players and for the future of golf.
So let's tee off, shall we, with the Mexico Open at Vidanta Vallarta.
Sounds good to me.
This course, it has a reputation as a bomber's paradise, and we saw some really high scores again this year.
Definitely.
This course, it stretches over 7,436 yards, and past winners have averaged about 20 under par.
Wow.
But it's not just about hitting it far, though, is it?
No, it's really not. It's about understanding how to use that power strategically. Vidanta Vallarta really rewards aggressive play off the tee because even if you miss the fairway, you often have a good lie in the rough.
So does that mean certain players have an advantage on this course?
Absolutely. Players like Charley Hoffman and Beau Hossler, they're known for their driving efficiency, and they become really dangerous here. When you look at their stats, they consistently hit it long, and they find the fairway much more often than most, so they can really attack this course.
I see. And that aggressive style of play, it definitely makes for an exciting tournament.
It does.
Speaking of exciting, we got to talk about Angel Yin's incredible win at the Honda LPGA Thailand.
Yeah, she was on fire.
She shot a final round of 7 under 65 to finish at a whopping 28 under par.
Unbelievable.
That final round, oh my goodness, it was a nail-biter. She just barely edged out Akie Iwai, who shot an amazing 61 that day.
That's incredible. This victory, it's huge for Angel Yin. It's her second LPGA title. And I think this could be a real turning point in her career. I think her performance this weekend, combined with the growing popularity of women's golf on social media, really shows us that the LPGA is just on fire right now.
Couldn't agree more. Back to the Mexico Open, on the PGA Tour side, the defending champion Jake Knapp was hoping for a repeat. But he faced some tough competition from guys like Akshay Bhatia and Patrick Rodgers.
And that's what makes this tournament so interesting, right?
Oh, yeah.
And Bhatia, he was actually the pre-tournament favorite.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but he didn't end up on top. And this is actually in line with some predictions from CBS Sports that he might struggle on this course.
I was following those predictions, too. Some analysts were really high on Patrick Rodgers coming into this tournament. He's got a strong track record at Vidanta with 3 top 10 finishes under his belt.
Right.
But, anything can happen in golf, right?
Exactly. And I think the fact that Vidanta Vallarta is this bomber's paradise, I think it really played a role in who generated the most buzz online this weekend. Names like Jake Knapp, known for his smooth swing, and Patrick Rodgers, who has that impressive combination of driving distance and putting accuracy. They were all over social media.
You're right. Players who can launch the ball off the tee definitely have an advantage at Vidanta Vallarta. But looking beyond individual players, where does the Mexico Open fit into the bigger picture of the PGA Tour season?
Okay, well, this is the 9th international event of the season. And it's a crucial stepping stone towards those bigger tournaments later on, like the Arnold Palmer Invitational and, of course, the Masters. It gives players a chance to rack up FedEx Cup points and really build momentum. For rookies like Rasmus Højgaard, who has been making waves this season, and players like Aaron Rai looking for a breakout moment, the Mexico Open is a big opportunity.
And, of course, the prize money is nothing to sneeze at either. We're talking a cool $7 million purse with $1.26 million and 500 FedEx Cup points going to the winner.
Definitely high stakes. And I think it's important to point out that some of the biggest names in golf, like Rory McIlroy, Scottie Scheffler, and yes, Tiger Woods, they were absent from this tournament.
Right.
And this gave some lesser-known players a chance to step into the spotlight and potentially shake up the rankings.
That's a great point. Now I can't avoid it any longer. We have to talk about the Tiger in the room.
Yes. Tiger Woods, the speculation surrounding his potential return to competitive golf, is reaching a fever pitch, especially with the Players' Championship right around the corner.
Here's what makes this so interesting. The Players' Championship, which is held at TPC Sawgrass from March 13th to the 16th, it's considered the PGA Tour's flagship event.
And Tiger has a history at Sawgrass. He's a 2-time champion there, winning in 2001 and 2013.
His performances at Sawgrass are legendary. So naturally, there's a ton of buzz about whether he'll make his comeback at this prestigious event. He's been sidelined for a while now, missing the cut at last year's Open Championship and withdrawing from the Genesis Invitational.
Yeah, it's been a rough time for him personally, but it seems he might be ready to get back in the game. There are reports from TalkSport suggesting that he's got his sights set on TPC Sawgrass, and let's be honest, the tournament organizers, they would love to have him back.
The Players' Championship boss even commented on Tiger's history at Sawgrass, saying it speaks volumes about the stature of the event. Imagine the energy if he were to tee it up there again.
It would be a monumental moment for the sport. But while the prospect of a comeback at the Players is exciting, we can't forget that Tiger has other commitments right now.
You're talking about his involvement in the TGL, the new golf league that's generating a lot of buzz.
Right.
He's actually playing with Jupiter Links GC this week, so it's clear that the TGL is a priority for him right now.
And his involvement definitely adds credibility to this new venture. What's also interesting is that Tiger's been very vocal about his desire to heal the rift in the golf world, especially between the PGA Tour and LIV Golf. He even met with Trump PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan and LIV Golf leaders at the White House to discuss it. His optimism about the possibility of LIV players returning to the PGA Tour in 2025 has sparked a lot of debate online.
It's a complicated situation with a lot of moving parts. But for now, the big question is, will Tiger make his return at the Players' Championship, or will he focus on the TGL and potentially return later in the season?
The timing is certainly fascinating, given the ongoing PGA-LIV Golf discussions and Tiger's role in those conversations. His return, whenever it happens, is guaranteed to shape the narrative of the 2025 season.
Absolutely. His health is the most important factor, though.
You're right. His well-being and his commitment to the TGL will ultimately influence his decision.
And that brings us to the end of part 1 of our deep dive. Stick around because when we come back, we'll be exploring the future of golf, including those intriguing PGA-LIV golf talks and some other exciting developments you won't want to miss.
Welcome back. It feels like we've only just begun, and we've got so much more to explore.
You're right about that. We've talked about some incredible individual performances this weekend, and the possibility of a Tiger Woods comeback is definitely keeping everyone on the edge of their seats. But now I think it's time to zoom out and look at the bigger picture, what's happening in the world of professional golf as a whole.
Because it's not just about the scores and the trophies, right?
Yeah.
It's about where the sport is headed.
Exactly. And a big part of that conversation right now revolves around those talks between the PGA Tour and LIV Golf.
The ones that even former President Trump got involved in.
Those are the ones.
Yeah, it's a fascinating situation, especially with the Department of Justice's antitrust review still looming over everything. A lot of people are calling this a make-or-break moment for the possibility of a unified tour.
So break it down for us. What would a unified tour actually mean for the average golf fan? Why should we care about all these behind-the-scenes negotiations?
Okay, well, a unified tour could completely change the game for players, tournaments, and fans. Think about it. A unified tour could bring together the best golfers in the world, regardless of which organization they're currently playing for.
Wow. Imagine seeing Rory McIlroy, Scottie Scheffler, and Brooks Koepka all competing in the same tournament every week. That would be incredible.
It would definitely shake things up and could lead to more competitive tournaments, higher prize purses, and even more global interest in the sport. But we also need to consider the potential downsides, right?
Right. Some players have raised concerns about LIV Golf's funding and its ties to Saudi Arabia. Those are serious issues that need to be addressed.
Absolutely. Any potential unification agreement needs to be built on ethical conduct and transparency. It's a complex situation that requires careful consideration.
It sounds like a delicate balancing act, but it could ultimately benefit everyone in the golf world if it's done right.
I agree. Now, while the PGA-LIV Golf talks are a major storyline, let's not forget about some of the other exciting developments in golf. Ludvig Åberg's recent win at the Genesis Invitational is creating a lot of buzz.
He's definitely one to watch. Golf fans are already placing bets on him for the Masters.
He's got a bright future ahead of him. And speaking of bright futures, we can't forget about Scottie Scheffler, who's returning to competition at Pebble Beach this week after recovering from a hand injury.
He's currently ranked #1 in the world. And for good reason. 5 signature wins in just 2 years. That's insane.
He's an absolute force to be reckoned with. His return at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am with its massive $20 million purse is the perfect warm-up for the Masters.
It's shaping up to be a thrilling rest of the season. But before we get ahead of ourselves, I want to circle back to those PGA-LIV Golf talks for a moment. What are the main sticking points that need to be resolved before a unified tour can actually happen?
That's a great question. I think one of the biggest hurdles is figuring out how to integrate the LIV players back into the PGA Tour structure. We need to consider eligibility requirements, ranking points, and of course the potential for conflict between players who stayed loyal to the PGA Tour and those who defected to LIV Golf.
It sounds like a logistical nightmare.
It definitely presents some major challenges. Another key issue is figuring out the role of Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, which backs LIV Golf in a unified tour. Some people are worried about how much influence they would have and whether their involvement would compromise the values and integrity of the sport.
So it's not just about merging schedules and tournaments. There are some serious financial and political considerations to navigate as well.
Exactly. And we can't forget about the impact on sponsors, broadcasters, and other stakeholders. A unified tour would require a complete overhaul of the existing golf ecosystem, which is a massive undertaking.
It's a huge challenge, but one that could completely reshape the landscape of professional golf for years to come.
The stakes are high and the discussions are ongoing. But the fact that these conversations are happening at all is a sign that the sport is evolving and adapting.
And that's what makes it so exciting to follow. We've talked a lot about these amazing individual performances we saw this weekend, from Angel Yin's clutch victory in Thailand to that dramatic finish at the Mexico Open. It's incredible to see the skill, the determination, and the pure talent of these golfers.
Absolutely. And let's not forget the inspiring stories of those who might not have won, but who fought hard and showcased the true spirit of the game.
They're the heart and soul of golf, and their contributions are just as important as those who end up on top of the leaderboard.
I couldn't agree more.
Huh.
And as we look ahead to the rest of the season, it's important to remember that every tournament, every shot, every putt is a chance to witness greatness, to be inspired, and to celebrate the game we all love.
I love that. Now, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with a question to think about. We've talked a lot about the potential for a unified tour, but what if we flipped the script? What if, instead of focusing on bringing LIV Golf players back into the PGA Tour, we explored the possibility of the PGA Tour adopting some of the innovations that LIV Golf has introduced?
That's an interesting idea. What do you have in mind?
Well, think about the team format. The shotgun starts the shorter tournaments. Could the PGA Tour learn from LIV Golf's experiments and use some of these elements to create a more dynamic and engaging product for fans? It's a question worth considering as we navigate the future of professional golf.
That's a really interesting point. It challenges us to think outside the traditional boundaries of the sport and consider new possibilities.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. As we wrap up our exploration of this weekend's golf news, I want to shift gears for a moment and talk about something that often gets overlooked: the human element of the game.
I like where you're going with this. We get so caught up in the rankings, the rivalries, the big money tournaments. But at its core, golf is a game of passion, perseverance, and respect.
Exactly. It's a game that people of all ages and skill levels can enjoy. It teaches you patience, focus, how to stay calm under pressure. There are so many valuable life lessons you can learn on the golf course.
And you can't forget about the sense of camaraderie and sportsmanship that you find in the golf community. That's something really special about this sport.
I couldn't agree more. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one last thought-provoking question to ponder. We've talked about the pros and cons of a unified tour, but what if we considered a completely different approach? What if instead of trying to merge everything together, we embrace the idea of a more diverse and dynamic golf ecosystem?
That's a really interesting perspective. Are you suggesting a multi-tour landscape where players have more choices and fans get to experience a wider variety of golf?
Exactly. Imagine a world where the PGA Tour, LIV Golf, and other emerging tours all coexist, each with its own distinct format, schedule, and personality.
That would definitely create a more competitive landscape, wouldn't it? Players and tours would have to constantly innovate and find ways to stand out from the crowd.
It could lead to some really exciting developments in the sport. We might see tours experimenting with new formats, technology, and ways to engage fans.
I think it's a really bold vision, but it could be incredibly beneficial for golf in the long run.
It's all about striking that balance between competition and collaboration, between honoring tradition and embracing innovation.
And making sure that we never lose sight of those core values: integrity, sportsmanship, and respect that make golf so special.
Well said. As we conclude this episode of The Deep Dive, I want to thank all of you for joining us on this journey through the world of golf.
It's been a pleasure sharing our insights and perspectives with you.
And remember, golf is more than just a game. It's a reflection of our own lives, with all the ups and downs, the challenges and triumphs.
So next time you're out on the course, take a moment to appreciate the beauty of the game, the company of your fellow golfers, and the lessons that golf can teach you about yourself.
And who knows, maybe you'll even sink that hole-in-one you've been dreaming of.
Until next time, keep swinging.
And keep diving deep.